It was one of those days where everything seemed ordinary, almost dull. The sky was a faded blue, the sun comfortably warm, and the streets in my small town bustled with the same familiar faces. I'd spent most of the morning at the bookstore, losing myself in the pages of adventure novels, wishing for something exciting to happen in my own life. I was on my way home, my backpack stuffed with books, when I saw a small crowd gathering near the park. Curiosity pulled me closer. At first, I couldn't quite see what all the fuss was about, but then I heard it laughter, a deep, hearty laugh that sounded almost familiar. As I squeezed my way to the front of the crowd, my heart nearly stopped. There he was, Jack Rivers, my absolute hero. For those who don't know, Jack Rivers is a world-famous wildlife photographer and conservationist. His documentaries had inspired me to care about nature in a way I never thought possible. I'd watched every episode of his show, Wild Wonders, dreaming of the day I might follow in his footsteps. Jack stood there, dressed casually in khaki shorts and a t-shirt, holding a camera in one hand and gesturing animatedly as he spoke to a group of kids about his latest trip to the Amazon rainforest. I couldn't believe it. What was he doing here in our little town? I hesitated, unsure if I should approach him. What if I embarrassed myself? But then he caught my eye and smiled, as if encouraging me to step forward. "Hi there," he said, his voice warm and inviting. "What's your name?" Mia," I stammered, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. "I'm a huge fan. I've watched all your shows. Twice. Maybe 3 times." Jack chuckled, and the crowd around us seemed to fade away. "Well, Mia, it's nice to meet someone so passionate. Do you love animals?" "More than anything," I blurted. "I want to be just like you someday, traveling the world, helping wildlife, and sharing their stories." His eyes lit up, and he nodded thoughtfully. "That's a fantastic dream, Mia. You know, the world needs more storytellers who care about our planet. Have you started taking pictures yet?" I shook my head. "Not really. I mean, I don't have a good camera or anything." Jack reached into his bag and pulled out a small but sturdy camera. It wasn't fancy, but it looked well loved. "Here," he said, holding it out to me. This was my first real camera. It's not top of the line, but it's captured some incredible moments. I think it's time it finds a new home. I stared at him in shock. "Are you serious?" "Completely," he said with a grin. "But on one condition. You promise to use it to tell stories that matter. Deal?" "Deal," I said, my voice barely a whisper. That day changed everything for me. I spent hours wandering the park, experimenting with angles and lighting, and finding beauty in places I'd never noticed before. Jack stayed in town for a few more days, and I even got to join him on a mini photo expedition. Years later, as I travel the world capturing the beauty of wildlife, I still carry that old camera with me. It's a little worn now, but it reminds me of the day I met my hero and how he believed in me, when I barely believed in myself.